Welcome to Alberta Conservation Association's Harvest Your Own podcast, the resource for everything hunting, navigating through the field, the butcher shop, and the kitchen. Life is all about great food. Let's get started.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Brad Fenson, an avid outdoor enthusiast who has worked as a freelance journalist, photographer, and public speaker for over 3 decades. I have hunted, fished, and foraged all my life and hope to share my passion for the outdoors. Along the way, I want to encourage everyone to harvest wild proteins and enjoy the satisfaction of providing the next meal for your family. Our goal is to educate, entertain, and inspire individuals to get outdoors and create a connection between food, health, and your future meals. Welcome to Harvest Your Own. Today, we're going to revisit a topic we've already touched on in the past, and that's the ABHuntLog. And it's a great program to help empower hunters, but also help with citizen science and have a diary, basically, a working diary of what your hunting fall or spring has looked like. I'd like to welcome our guest today. I have Sue Peters in the studio with me. Hi, Sue.
Hey, Brad.
And I'm going to get you to introduce some of our other guests.
Oh, sure. And we have Dr. Vic Adamowicz from the University of Alberta Department of Resource Economics and Environmental Sociology. He's another project partner that we're working with, as well as Jordan York, a biologist with the Métis Nation of Alberta.
Sounds like a great think tank. This is a good topic to cover. I have used ABHuntLog now for 2 years myself, and I've encouraged others to do it. I've written about it. We've done a podcast. What is the ABHuntLog, and why was it developed in the first place?
I'm glad you asked. ABHuntLog is a feature within the iHunter Alberta app that we've designed for Alberta's hunters, recreationists, outfitters, and Métis harvesters to be able to contribute wildlife observations in Alberta.
Yeah, so why was it developed? Why do we need that type of input?
It was developed because biologists, frankly, can't be everywhere at the same, all over at the same time. We need help collecting enough data across Alberta's wildlife management units to be able to understand and track wildlife populations, or harvestable wildlife populations in Alberta. And it's intended to be supplemental to other sources of information, primarily aerial ungulate surveys that the Alberta government conducts.
Yeah, so it's an Alberta Conservation Association initiative to really bolster citizen science.
Correct, yeah. So for a long time, hunters have said, we want to contribute to conservation, and ABHuntLog makes that easy. And ABHuntLog also recognizes that hunters are really an excellent source of supplemental data for wildlife management. They're observant, and they're out on the landscape.
iHunter. I think we got to sort of take a step back here and really tell people what iHunter is, because it's an assumption that everyone's going to have it or know what it is or used it. It really does make a huge difference for hunters. It has a lot of information. I've used it for years, and it has very detailed maps that you can look at through a satellite image, terrain, different ways. It's got all the highways and access points. It even has conservation properties on it within the app that are identified with colors and directions how to get through all the rest of it. But weather, moon phase, you can access the hunting regulations within it by WMU. Most importantly, when we had Mark on, one of the creators of iHunter here a year ago, he said the thing that people really embrace and that is a standout for them is the landowner maps. Having access to a map, sitting beside a field and be able to call it up and say, oh, John Doe owns that field, and I can look up his number because his address is this community. So lots of different features within the app, but ABHuntLog is in there as well, but it is only a feature, correct?
Yes, so ABHuntLog is a feature that's accessible to anyone who has downloaded the iHunter Alberta app. And it's there's 2 places you can access ABHuntLog within the iHunter Alberta app, and that is through the icon, the antler icon in the bottom right corner of the homepage.
Right, looks like a little moose.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And so you click on that, and then you can sign up to participate. And there's a University of Alberta study that is coordinated with they're also using the Alberta HuntLog data, and they have an ethics agreement that users need to agree to. And that just ensures confidentiality and appropriate use of the data that's collected. So yes. That's a good thing.
It's quick, easy, and very thorough. Everything's covered. Everything's up front. It makes it super easy. And once you get in there, it's a real good tool for hunters to use throughout the season to track what they're doing, where they've been, what they've done, what they've seen, all the rest of it. It's really like a hunter's diary. So it's something very positive for people to use.
Yeah, we've designed it so that it's easy to use, and you can log your observations. And if you're out hunting, you can also keep track of your harvests as well. And then the intention behind that is that it can become a tool for you at the end of the season when you're doing your mandatory harvest reporting, because it's hard to remember all that information.
Yeah, it's hard to remember how many days you were in the field, how many days you were in HWMU, but it's all logged on there. So it's a great record to go back to.
Yes, it's all accessible through the personal dashboard that's part of the Alberta HuntLog tool.
Right. Who are the partners behind Alberta HuntLog?
Yeah, so ACA joined an existing partnership that was between the University of Alberta's Department of Resource Economics and ABHunter Alberta. And that was strategic. We thought it would be best to tap into an already large community of hunters that were already using the ABHunter Alberta app. And as you mentioned, this is because ABHunter Alberta has lots of unique features that appeal to hunters, such as the ACA conservation sites and all those other features that you mentioned. So we thought it would be good to tap into all the users that were already using ABHunter. Yeah, and I'll just add to that too that we've now expanded this partnership to include the Métis Nation of Alberta, and I know Jordan will be speaking to that in a bit here. And then, of course, we have several funding partners.
Excellent. Why was the U of A conducting research with ABHunter?
Yeah, I can answer that. It's Vic here. We've been interested in the economic value of hunting and the economic value of things like wildlife habitat and environmental quality for years. I'm an economist. That's what we're trying to capture. And to do that, what we need is information on hunter activity. Where do they go? How often do they go? How much time are they spending? What are they spending money on? What we've done traditionally is we've used surveys, either in the old days, mail out paper and pencil surveys, or more recently, we'd use online surveys and send people computer links. But those have some challenges with them. Sometimes it's recall bias because we might send a survey at the end of the season. Sometimes we don't get a representative sample of the population that's answering. And so we were thinking about either developing our own app or working with another group that already had an app for folks who are engaged in hunting. And that's where we started talking with ABHunter, that there was already an existing app. It was very popular in the hunting community, was well designed, and it could be modified to include these kinds of survey or activity features. And so we started working with them and developing pilots. We also had focus groups with hunters and talked to hunters at various meetings, and they were actually more interested in an app like this where they could upload their data and an existing one rather than something new. They didn't want yet another new app on their phone. And so that was another plus for working with ABHunter. And I think it's just another example. In my literature, I see people working with apps like this to generate this kind of data or information on the economic value of our natural environment. A quick example is there are a lot of folks working with eBird data, for example. Some of your listeners may be familiar with eBird. So eBird is citizen science data that we can learn about the value of bird diversity and how that might contribute to the human dimensions of bird activities or bird watching activities in wildlife. So it really was a nice partnership to start, and then that just led into the collaboration with ACA and now with the Métis Nation.
Well, that's pretty awesome. It's really keeping up with modern times. I remember the good old days when I used to get the phone survey and I'd talk to somebody who says, yeah, you're the 60th person I talked to. Did you keep your hunting map from this year? I got a bunch of questions for you. This certainly simplifies things, and it becomes a useful tool for the hunter as well. Jordan, why is the Métis Nation of Alberta interested in joining Alberta HuntLog?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. A lot of the things that the University of Alberta folks are looking at there around the economic value of hunting hunting activity is very much relevant in our context as well with Métis hunters here in Alberta. We really want to understand a little bit more about the activities out on the land as they're trying to exercise their Section 35 rights, and we can bring that back to our consultation department where they can consider where individual harvesters are trying to exercise those rights to make sure that those areas are protected and the lands around there and the resources are properly managed. And then on top of that as well, from the other perspective of managing wildlife populations and trying to look at trends and changes, also, again, very relevant and important for our citizens to be able to continue going out hunting on the land and using those landscapes and interacting with animals and maintaining that natural connection that they do have. So pretty much everything that everybody else is trying to do within this, it's all very relevant and of interest to us as well.
Well, it's nice to have all groups involved. It's a very holistic approach and gives a better picture in the end of what's going on the landscape. Very good. Well, this project has already been underway for about 2 years, or it has been 2 years. How are things going?
Well, I still see us as being in development mode, so to speak, and we're constantly using feedback from users to improve. But it's going well. We had last year during the hunting season, so between September 1 and the end of December, we had about 1,400 surveys submitted from about 360 different users in 135 wildlife management units. And that was a significant increase from the first year, so that's a good sign. Our overarching goal is to build trust in the hunting community so that we can continue to build our participation and grow get more data, essentially. One of the ways that we are planning to do this is to get more users is to hold a contest again. We did this last year and we're going to do it again this year. And we're going to be giving away an optics prize package donated by Korth Group. And every survey that users submit into ABHuntLog gets them one entry into the contest. So we're hoping that will encourage people to get out there and give ABHuntLog a try and keep using it.
Yeah, and the Korth Group represent Loophole. They're the Canadian rep, so I'm guessing that's pretty good optics.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. Vic, what's your take on the last 2 years?
Yeah, I agree with Sue that we're really still in the kind of scale up or piloting phase. We're starting to get some really interesting trends in the data. So we've been doing some of our economic analysis, but maybe the most interesting thing we did was to just see the folks who are participating in ABHuntLog. One of the things we asked them, for example, is to give us their age. And one of the reasons we do that is we'd like to know whether the respondents in ABHuntLog are representative of the population of hunters. So we did a bit of a comparison a year and a half ago of the folks who were in ABHuntLog with a traditional survey that we did online and with estimates of what the province thinks the distribution or age range of hunters is. And actually, interestingly, ABHuntLog had a more representative distribution of hunters in terms of age than some of our traditional surveys. So there were, the same percentage of folks in the 18 to 30 age group in ABHuntLog as there were in the set of license holders for the particular species we're looking at. Same percentage of older folks. So that was a good sign, because one of the concerns with any survey approach is whether you're getting a representative sample or a sample that reflects the whole population of hunters. So that was pretty good news. So we continue to work on those kinds of things, on assessing whether we're getting a good sample of hunters and also a good set of trip information back from individuals. So that's been pretty positive.
Well, I'm glad to hear it's demographics and not for old people like me that might forget to start their hunt log on time. And if you look at the data, we should have the same start point from home, but sometimes they just get, it's a little delayed in terms of remembering to get going.
This podcast is produced for Harvest Your Own, a program dedicated to those who want to reconnect with food and health through their experiences outdoors. HarvestYourOwn.ca is a resource for individuals to learn more about hunting and the outdoors. There's information to get you started and ensure that your compass stays pointed in the right direction to be successful. Where's your next meal coming from?
What sort of changes and improvements in ABHuntLog can we expect for 2023? We've had 2 years of growth and we're moving forward. What's going on?
Yeah, so as I already mentioned, we are always listening to user feedback, and we have heard some suggestions for improvements. So one concern that we heard was that of confidentiality hunters want to keep their information to themselves, and understandable. And so for this year, we are providing choice. We're allowing hunters to manually enter their time and distance or estimated time and distance in the wildlife management unit that they're hunting. And they have the choice to either manually enter it, and they also have the choice to let the app, Alberta HuntLog,
track them. Yeah.
Calculate that for them through the use of a track log. So that people like choice, and that's what we're providing this year.
Well, that really works dual purpose too, because I had forgotten, you get up at 3 a.m. to go goose hunting, and you're trying to remember if you got the decoys and all this stuff, and your thermos of coffee, and you get 5 miles down the road and go, "Ooh, I forgot to start my hunt log."
Right.
So
And
I could just do it afterwards.
Exactly. Yep. And I just want to point out that the reason we are interested in the amount of time you're spending in the wildlife management unit, or the distance you're traveling, is that is essentially a metric or a way to measure effort. So we can calculate things like number of moose observed per hour, and that holds more value for biologists.
Awesome. Well, it's good to understand some of the information being collected and why the track log is so important too.
Mm-hmm. I'll also mention that for this year, we've added some new species to the list in the survey of Alberta HuntLog. And we're also working on some improvements to the dashboard to make it even easier and even better for mandatory harvest reporting.
Oh, nice. Well, you've touched on a few things, but what else is the Alberta HuntLog data used for, and why is it important? Obviously, we have different people at the table, and information is important to different people, so we'll have a couple different answers.
Sure. Yeah, so from ACA's perspective, our goal is to, over the long term, we hope to collect enough high-quality data to be able to track trends in wildlife observations and recruitment rates in Alberta wildlife management units. And these measures are a really good surrogate for how wildlife populations are faring in the province.
Jordan, it's great to have the Métis Nation of Alberta on board. What do you see the HuntLog data being used for?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. We don't actually have a lot of ways that we're currently engaging with our harvesters right now to understand where they're actually spending their time harvesting and what they're targeting in different areas. We do have some surveys that will run where we can have citizens go and report their harvest back to us in some cases, but we really are just kind of building out that infrastructure here. And so Alberta HuntLog is just a great way for us to start engaging with our citizens, getting them involved in wildlife monitoring and giving us some of that feedback on the land that helps us look at those larger wildlife trends, ensure that those populations are being properly managed, and then again, even just look at the individual hunter activities on the landscape as well.
Awesome. That's all important information. Vic, I got to come back to you because I always find the economics very important to this. I mean, it really helps define what role hunters play in our society and our economy and all the rest of it. So I'm always interested in learning more about your studies and what's going on. Where's Alberta HuntLog data going with you? Is it going to be the same type of statistics and data collected, or are we going somewhere new as well?
I think a lot of it is the same. We're also interested in trends, but we're interested in the trends of hunter activity. Are people going the same places? Are they spending as much time? And maybe even more importantly, if we see changes, why are those changes occurring? Is it something that habitat is changing, or we've done a lot of work in the last 5 years on chronic wasting disease. Is that something that's affecting where hunters choose to go? Can we measure then the economic value of healthy wildlife populations through these changes in trends and understanding how people change where they go? So ABHuntLog is really giving us, I'd say, richer information on those kind of activities. We've got hunting trips, we've got scouting trips, we've got a wide range of activities that's as I say, richer than what we've been able to collect with our traditional surveys. But the overall intent is really just to reflect that economic value of the habitat and the importance of hunting as part of the economy.
Yeah, can you look at things like the increase in gas prices and maybe look at how that impacts the number of trips people make or the amount that they go out, the distance they travel?
Yeah, I haven't done that kind of study, but I've got a couple of colleagues in the U.S. that have done exactly that have looked at the trends over time and have seen how changing gas prices and other prices have affected where people go and what kind of activities they engage in. So, yeah, that's another part of the puzzle.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think Albertans are very passionate about the outdoors. So even when things get tight, it's still one of their top priorities to get out there and do things. So hopefully we don't see too much less effort, but we are lucky we got lots of opportunities, so we don't have to travel as far if we don't want to. Maybe we should just start back with iHunter a little bit, and how do Alberta hunters get started with ABHuntLog?
Yeah, I'll start with that. It's pretty straightforward. It's an app that you can get for either your Apple or your Android phone. You can install it on your phone and select the ABHuntLog. And it starts off with a registration. And one of the reasons that we ask people to complete the registration and read a bunch of information at the front end is we have to abide by research ethics protocols with the university. And what that means is that we describe to people what we ask them to complete in the data. We're describing how we try to keep as best possible everything confidential. We work really hard on the confidentiality and security of the data. We describe what we use the data for, and we really call that the whole informed consent process, that before starting, everybody knows where we're coming from and what we're trying to do and how we're trying to protect their data. And then once you've read that, and if you agree with it, then off you go, and you can start filling in trips and completing the information requested within the app.
Yeah, and I think you do a great job of doing that. The information is very complete, and it actually gives peace of mind to people that might worry about their information and what's going on, or their honey hole where they, historically have found a certain species that they like to hunt.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do. And as Sue said earlier, we're really trying to build this trust with the community and increase the number of folks participating.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's great. And I can see how the Métis Nation came on board to try to garner information about their own members and people and their efforts and all the rest of it. There's a lot of data that can be collected there and used for many different reasons. Now, one question hunters might have is, what's the benefit to signing up for this? Why should a hunter get involved with ABHuntLog?
Yeah, that's an understandable question. We see a number of different benefits to hunters for using ABHuntLog. First and foremost, they get immediate feedback, personal feedback through their personal dashboard and within the iHunter app or within ABHuntLog, and that serves as essentially a digital log of their observations and harvests. We also, behind the scenes, biologists are aggregating all the data summaries each year at the WMU level, and we provide summary maps on our website, so albertahuntlog.ca, and we post those every year after the hunting season is over. And so, for example, you can go there to see maps of like number of moose observed per hour, or sex ratios or recruitment rates of different species. And the more data we get over time, the more maps and summary maps we'll be able to put there on our website. And we see those as becoming a useful tool for planning hunting trips and recreational outings, and to use those to plan and see where you want to go. We also see a long-term benefit, because if hunters are contributing to conservation by submitting their data on wildlife populations, biologists can better manage these populations, and then ultimately that can lead to more stable hunting, better hunting opportunities as well.
Yeah, we don't often get a chance to participate in what we call citizen science. So, hunters are in the field a lot. There's a lot of man hours, a lot of man days or person days, and there is some valuable information there to be collected. Certainly. Mm-hmm. Can hunters make notes within their dashboard as well?
Not at this point.
Not at this point. But, it is a pretty good diary in terms of how many times you've been, what you've seen, and all the rest of it. It's a great resource to go back and look at and see what was happening at specific times of the year on different trips, morning versus evening, stuff like that. So it's a tool that could certainly be used by hunters in the field, and perhaps in the future we can add some note columns where hunters can tweak things a little bit to use it as their diary for focusing in the future. Mm-hmm. Jordan, what do you see the benefits?
A lot of the same stuff that Sue just outlined. Again, I don't mean to parrot her, but for the most part, like if the information that's being shared here from hunters goes and results in more hunting opportunity and healthier wildlife populations and, adaptive and informed management of those wildlife populations, I think we all benefit as hunters out on the landscape. And so that's Métis citizens and non-Métis citizens out there. I think we're all getting some benefit out of this for sure.
Absolutely.
In addition to that too, some of the the information that's specific from our Métis harvesters that might be participating in this can help us get a better understanding of their hunting activities, which can direct some of our efforts as well on our end to look at those, I guess, impacts of population changes that are out there or activities in the landscape that could interrupt their harvesting for, sustenance and other things as well. So it gives us more tools in our toolbox to help them out.
Very good. Vic, back to the economics. Where do hunters benefit from here?
I think much as Sue and Jordan have said, what we're interested in is actually capturing the economic value of that, let's say, hunting quality improvements or habitat conservation measures. So can we make an economic case for improvements and protection of habitat and improving hunting quality? That's the way that we would, I think, bring some of the information to the table. Plus, just this description of the hunter activity and the kind of human dimension or number of people participating in these actions. I think that's really important. I think one other piece we haven't really talked about is this is important for rural communities, that we're measuring what kind of economic activity is going on in those communities, and that's an important part of the province.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point to make to hunters. We do have an impact on society and economics and all the rest of it, and to have our information used as a positive tool to promote what hunting does for the province is a good reason to get involved.
That's right.
This podcast was made possible by Alberta Conservation Association and the Harvest Your Own community. If you're interested in harvesting your own food, there's a comprehensive collection of information to gain insight and knowledge. Head to the field, harvest your own protein, prepare it, and taste the results. HarvestYourOwn.ca is a library of information from getting started and geared up to processing, butchering, and cooking wild game to make the connection between health and food.
One of the questions hunters might have is, the bottom line, is this going to help me get another bull moose tag or quicker?
Well, not directly. Let's be honest. No. But yeah, as I've already mentioned, hunters contributing information, what they observe out on the landscape leads to better wildlife management, leads to healthier harvestable wildlife populations, and that allows for more stable hunting opportunities.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it can help them in the field, correct?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So Alberta HuntLog definitely can be a tool to help them with their hunt. Your dashboard summaries which only you can see, they will help you plan your hunts by showing you which management units you've observed the most animals in, for example. And it even presents a summary of your satisfaction ratings that you've inputted into the survey in the past. So you can use that as a planning tool. And also as I mentioned earlier, the aggregated data summary maps that we place on the website that show the data by WMU that can also be a good tool for helping you plan your hunt.
Yeah, and I'd really recommend that anyone listening take the time to look up those maps, because it is very interesting information, and it can help anyone that spends time in the outdoors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the more data we have to put into those maps, the better, the more reliable, and the more confident we can be with that information.
I do like to keep things positive, but one of the comments people might say is, why is Alberta HuntLog asking me to do the government's job? Why aren't the biologists doing this?
Right. Well, biologists can't be everywhere all at once. So you're right. It is. The government does manage harvestable wildlife in our province. But we don't see Alberta HuntLog using that as doing the government's job. We see it as an opportunity to contribute to the information that we have to manage wildlife. And we all know that it's hard for the government to have enough staff and money to conduct enough aerial surveys in every management unit for all species. So reality is that that might mean that they're basing some management decisions on either limited data or data that's outdated. And so Alberta HuntLog is a tool that hunters can contribute supplemental information for this. Yeah,
and I'd really like to encourage hunters again to participate in this. We had 1,400 surveys submitted last year. What would happen if we had 40,000 surveys? Is more better? Oh, absolutely. That would make us biologists super happy. The more the better. As I said, it increases our confidence in those maps, those aggregated data summary maps that we're putting on the website. And we don't have to worry about
only a handful of entries in a management unit, we can say, yeah, this is what's happening there. And the more the better.
Vic, what about yourself? If we had 40,000 surveys entered this year, would that change your life at all?
Fantastic. That's exactly what we'd hope for, is that more surveys and increased participation over time, we could keep track of those trends. I was also going to say, even when we were just starting this project, there were a lot of hunters we talked to in various venues who were keeping track of where they were going, and they just wanted a tool to help over the years describe what kind of activities they were involved in, and it was a good way to keep track of things. The ABHuntLog is also good for completing your harvest survey. You can look back at where you've been and what's happening. So all those things are really, I think, for some folks viewed as a good benefit associated with the app that hunters can use.
Yeah, that is a huge benefit when you go to do those harvest reports or your hunt reports, because the Alberta HuntLog dashboard does give you a very clear and concise picture of what you did, where you were, and all the information required to fill that in properly.
That's right. That was actually one of the intents when we were thinking about that dashboard, was that it would be useful for that.
Yeah, and we are making some improvements to it to make it even better for 2023. So
awesome.
Watch for that.
Jordan, how are you promoting this to your members?
Well, this is the first year that we're actually going and having it promoted to the Métis citizens to sign up for this. Last year we did have the Métis harvester hunter type added in at one point to the hunting season, but this will be the first full year. So at our annual General Assembly, which is coming up next month, we'll be doing some promotions there, and we'll be doing more throughout the next month as well, trying to really ramp it up during the hunting season. So for any Métis citizens that are listening to this, if they want to look for some of those promos, we'll be posting on our social media pages, on our website, as well as in our Voyager Voice, the biweekly newsletter. So they can follow along there, and there will be lots of opportunities to maybe win some prizes and get involved.
Nice. What is your handle on Facebook and social media?
There's a few of them, but our website is albertamétis.com. If anybody wants to get a hold of us, they can email us at environments@métis.org. And then just look for Métis Nation of Alberta on any of the various social media pages. They'll be able to find it there.
Oh, very good. Sue and Vic, where else can people go for information?
ACA has a dedicated website to this project, so albertahuntlog.ca, and that's where you can go to get tons of information. We have an FAQ page there in case you're wondering. We also have information on how to sign up, and hopefully all your questions can be answered there. And then, as I mentioned, those yearly data summaries, there's a page dedicated to that.
Awesome. I just want to reiterate that there are some huge benefits here for people that participate. Getting a snapshot of what you do during the year, fully utilizing that part of the app is very beneficial to yourself. So it doesn't cost you anything. If you have the iHunter app, you just have to sign up, agree to things, and move forward in terms of collecting your data, and encourage your friends to do it. I know it's going to reduce your chances of winning that wonderful optics package, but I'd sure like to see more people participate in this as well. Does anyone else have anything to add? Anything else to encourage people, or any parting words in terms of Alberta HuntLog and where we're heading in 2023?
I'll say one thing. I just want to thank ACA for all the effort and support on this project. I think it's been a really great investment, and ACA's been behind it really positively, and I think that's just a bonus to the community and a bonus for wildlife. So I really appreciate that.
Yes, we do too. As hunters, there's I guess it's a good example of hunters' dollars going back to provide benefit not only to hunters but wildlife management and all Albertans, and to help those communities with economic development. More hunters, more dollars spent in rural Alberta and other places. So thank you for your time today. We will put up a number of different social media and websites where people can get more information. Please tell your friends about this. Don't keep it to yourself and think you're going to win the prize package. If your buddy wins it, he'll probably share it with you anyways. So spread the word, get involved, and be part of the citizen science movement and help us in terms of wildlife management and hunter information. We hope to inspire people to reconnect with nature and appreciate where your food comes from by harvesting your own. For more information on getting started or to learn specifics about the Field to Fork experience, visit harvestyourown.ca and follow on Facebook and Instagram. Check back often for new material, recipes, and videos that are posted regularly. Please subscribe to Harvest Your Own podcast and take the time to rate and review the show to help us build a dedicated core of passionate hunters as our regular audience. Until next time, embrace the outdoors and all it has to offer. Thanks for joining us.